Hello everyone. Thank you very much again for agreeing to participate in this experiment. My name again is Abdul-Salam. I am an economist as well as a data scientist. In this short video, I'll quickly take you through what is expected of us as participants. In so doing, let's quickly start by looking at the consent page. So the consent page basically tries as much as possible to explain what we are expected to do in terms of our role as participant, as well as some of the rights that we reserve. So first of all, if you look at the consent page, it basically gives a description of what the experiment is about. So as you might have seen, we do have 30 minutes to spend or less or more. It doesn't really matter. Within 30 minutes time range should be um, a fair estimate. In terms of risk, there are no risks to this particular experiment. The benefit is basically trying to understand what the decision-making process of individual or economic agents like you, happens to be when faced with a problem that I'm about to explain in a short time period. In terms of the payment and then the cost, I'll try as much as possible to bear the cost for the internet, which is going to be 3 CD based on what I estimated, and also an additional 2 CD for agreeing to participate. So this is what we call the combination of the internet fee and then the 2 CD participation fee is what we call the show up fee. So by agreeing to participate, you get 5 CD on the spot. Now, within the experiment as well, you happen to make decisions, and each decision will fetch you a point, and this particular point will be translated into cash for you at the end of the experiment. One random round will be selected, and the points will be converted into cash for you. So you have to be a bit more mindful of the decisions that you make. At the end of the year, at the end of the day, you're trying to maximize the points that counts with the experiment, and that will translate into cash. So, depending on the decisions that you make and then the point that you tend to accumulate, you should expect somewhere within the region of 20 to 30 CD at the end of the experiment. That includes the show up fee that I mentioned earlier. There's going to be, full confidentiality. There's not going to be any data leakage or anything of the sort. Now, you also have to understand that you as a participant do have the right to um, say, hey, I'm not interested in this experiment anymore, and go like, hey, I refuse to participate. That's a right reserved to you. So feel free to say, hey, I'm not interested anymore, and I don't want to, continue. So that's a right that you have as a participant. That's very important, and I would like to reiterate it as well. We are not forcing you to participate. You have the right to refuse at any point in time. So if this consent looks okay for you, and if you agree to the points that I just finished, explaining, then you can just quickly click on the yes to agree to the terms that I mentioned, and probably just write your full name here to start with the experiment. So in my case, I happen to be Abdul-Salam. So this is going to be my name, and I'm just going to click next, and it will take me to the next page. So this page is just all about the consent. Now, when we move on to the next page, this is where the explanation of the actual experiment comes in. Now, the question here is, what's this experiment about? This experiment is trying to get your decision as a buyer or a customer of a good. So just think of yourself as a customer or a buyer of a particular good, and that's going to be your role. Now, in your role as a buyer, you're basically going to make purchase decisions, and these purchase decisions, as I mentioned earlier, will earn you points. And this point will be translated into the cash, the Ghana City cash equivalent that we saw earlier. Now, what is this particular experiment about? First of all, you'll be given a certain amount of money, which we call the lab money. It's going to be denoted in this particular symbol, the dollar symbol, but don't think of it as a dollar. It's basically a lab currency given to you to make the purchases. So that's your endowment. think of it as the amount of money you have in your pocket to make your purchases. Now, what are you going to buy? Are you going to buy milk, egg, apples, oranges? No, that's not going to be the case. With the experiment, we move away from such tangible stuffs. We try as much as possible to introduce uh, an objective product in this case, which is going to fetch you points. So your product that you'll be making purchases on are going to be labeled as product A or product B. So think of it as apple, oranges, but in this case, we are just trying to label them as product A and product B, and these products comes with their respective points. Now, in terms of the decision that you are expected to make as a participant, here you're expected to make the purchase. You can decide to go like, hey, I'm interested in purchasing 1 unit of product A or 1 unit of product B or half a unit of product A or a quarter unit of product A. It's all up to you. Whatever you think is best for you in trying to generate the most point is what's up to you to probably make in terms of the decisions. Now, this is going to be an interesting point here, which is the diminishing returns. Now, to most of you without the economics background, this might be a very uh, difficult concept, but it's not that difficult. Basically, the law of diminishing returns says that if you are to constantly buy one particular product over and over again, the points that you tend to accumulate will keep on reducing. So imagine yourself being extremely, hungry. You like to, I mean, get some food just so you can get yourself a bit satisfied. The very first meal that someone gives you will generate you the higher or the highest happiness or utility with it. Now, if you finish eating this particular meal and you feel like, hey, I'm okay now, and someone comes and again and then gives you the second meal, it will generate you some level of happiness or utility, but it wouldn't be as the very first one, right? So that's the whole idea of the diminishing returns. The more you buy a product, the more you get the point, but the points will keep on reducing. Your satisfaction from buying the same product over and over again will keep on reducing. So that's the law of diminishing marginal returns. So I will try and give you some numbers to understand what I just finished explaining, if that helps. And again, feel free to, get in touch with me if this particular explanation didn't make it. Um, there's also an aspect to this experiment which we call the seller loyalty reward. So here, the product that you buy from the sellers are interested in keeping you. They would like you to buy their product and nobody else's product. So to attract you, they will give you a reward. And this is what we call the seller loyalty reward. So for every purchase that you make, they will go like for every purchase that you make, we are going to give you a certain reward. But mind you, this reward does not mean a point. You have to convert the reward to a point before you can finally make use of the reward. So that's going to be an aspect to this experiment as well. So keep an eye on that. And for every decision that you make for each round, you will see the points that you accumulated. So keep an eye on the points as well. It's very important. So that's going to be the explanation page. Now, let me quickly go to the first round just so we can see the numbers and the details I just elaborated here on. So here, as I mentioned, you're going to be given the lab currency or the lab money. So here, you'll be given maybe 40 lab currency or endowment. So you're expected to spend everything here. So this $40, you're expected to spend it on either your product A, product B, or the combination of product A and product B, whatever you think works best for you. Please spend everything in each and every round. Now here, the price for the goods, for every good, there comes a price with it. So here with price A, you have the price for good B, you have the price that comes with it, and that's what we see here. So this is going to be the price for good A, and this is going to be the price for good B. So that's the price for each. Now, in this round, they both have the same price. Now, this is where the law of diminishing returns, comes in. So here, with the numbers, you can clearly see that the very first purchase of product A that you make fetches you 100 points. However, due to the law of diminishing returns, if you decide to use your money again to buy an additional unit of product A, you wouldn't get the 100 points, you rather get 74 points because the points will keep reducing the more you buy the same product, right? Think of it as you being hungry example that I gave earlier and eating the first meal, which will give you the highest satisfaction. If someone comes in and gives you the second, meal, it would give you satisfaction, but it wouldn't be as high as the first one. So think of it that way. If you decide to use your money again and then buy the third product from the same seller, which is product A, you get the point, but it wouldn't be as high as the second one or the first one. So that's the law of diminishing returns. And you can decide to buy product A, product B, merge them, do whatever you think might fetch you the highest point. Now, this is the seller loyalty point that we mentioned earlier. So here, the seller is trying to attract you. So they all have their way of attracting you to purchase their product. So seller A gives you, for every dollar that you spend on their product, they will give you 1A reward. And for seller B, for every dollar that you spend on their product, they will give you 10B reward. Mind you, this reward needs to be converted into points before getting the final equivalent of it. So this reward system needs to be converted. This is just the way of they in convincing you to buy, but it's different from how much points each will fetch you. Each has a different point that it happens to fetch. So just keep an eye on that. Yeah, so this is going to be part three. So here you're expected to spend the entire amount of, endowment that was given to you. Either you um, spend how much you want to spend on product A, how much you want to spend on product B. So this is going to be up to you. But the most important thing here is to spend everything. So make sure at the end of the day, how much you tend to spend is tantamount to this $40 that was given to you, lab currency. Now, there's going to be an additional calculator to help you make your decisions. So, for instance, if you're interested in understanding, hey, if I'm to spend $10 on product A, how much will that fetch me? So, you tend to see that the very first product A that you buy for $10, it will fetch you the 100 points, which is basically this points here. And also, the seller will give you some reward that comes with it. And if you have to convert that reward is going to be 10 points. So you make your own calculation using this calculator if you are interested in getting to understand it better, just so to make your decision much cleaner and fetch higher points if you so wish. Um, yeah, so that's going to be the decision round in other stuffs related to economics, um, related to uh, experiment, as well as graduate school application, you can head to my channel here and watch the video. So an example here, you can see me in action trying to explain what macroeconomics is about. You can watch these videos to understand more about macroeconomics, an area that I'm very much, interested in. Also, if you're interested in grad school application, this some of the videos that we had. I think it can help you make a very good application package and increase your chances of getting into grad school. And finally, if you're interested in design, experiment, and whatnot, you can also look at my channel. Hopefully, it can be of use to you. Thanks a lot again for your time. Bye bye.